Hello, welcome back to SOS Stories of Survivors. I'm your host, Serina Dansker, and today it is my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome my yogi, my guiding light, mentor, meditational guru, Mike Cawley. Welcome, Mike.
Namaste. Thanks for having me, Serina. It's so nice to be here.
Oh my gosh. Well, today, this month, June, is Men's Mental Health Month. And I thought, what better way than to shed light onto ways that we can help ourselves heal and grow as people. And I don't know if you know this, but back during COVID, I was stumbling through the local gym here and found one of your yoga classes going on, and I was so intrigued by it because there were all these people and there was like no room. It was sold out, but there was like, it was meant to be because I got in on off the wait list. And I walk in there and I have to tell you, through your meditational practice, through taking that class, you set me on a path toward healing. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I'm sure you've done it for so many people and aren't even aware of that. And I would love for you to share with our audience today, just all about you, and so we can learn where you come from. And before we get started, though, I'd like to just tell our audience that if any moment during our conversation today you're feeling tender or you're feeling just mentally you need to talk to someone in the US, you can always dial 988. It's a hotline and you are not alone. There's people there that can support you. Please take advantage of that. And before we start, I just want to take a big deep breath in and then exhale. All right, let's get started. So, Mike, tell me a little bit about yourself. Take me back to the moment where you found yoga. What was going on in your life?
So I was in construction. I was a framer by trade, and I had an accident. I was going into a second floor level to do some framing on a new addition in a bathroom, and coming out of the roof back onto the ladder. The ladder kicked out. I fell about 17 feet.
Oh my God.
I had a compression fracture on my L1 vertebrae. I spent, probably, I can't remember what it was because it was going, that's 20 years ago now. I spent like 3 months or so, 4 months, wearing one of those back braces and doing all that. And then somewhere along the line, I know who it was, my mom recommended yoga as physical therapy to come back.
Wow.
So that's how I started, and I started by taking a class at New York Sports Club in Somers, New York. And I had the same experience that everyone that takes their first class does. I thankfully it was a really, really good teacher. And I went into the class, and same thing, full yoga class. I had zero idea what yoga was, and people are doing like wheel poses and big back bends and forearm stands and headstands. But she was a good instructor, and there was something about it I liked. So I was like, all right, there's something here. I went back another time, um, and it was just as good of an experience. And then the third time I went back, it was a different instructor, and I never went back. And so I took those two initial classes, but I started like shopping around the northern Westchester area for different studios and kind of poking my head in places. And that's really how I got my feet wet in this yoga world. Yeah, with a couple of classes, just looking around, and then slowly from there it progressed to going down to New York City for classes, finding better and better instructors.
Wow. Now, was there a specific moment where you realized that yoga was becoming more than just a workout or a rehabilitation for you, that it was helping you more emotionally?
It was a gradual process. It wasn't until I started doing my first teacher training that I had one of those moments. Again, I was just talking about this earlier, that you know like pre whatever that was, like 30 years old, I was still always, before yoga, because I broke my back at 30, I was always still stumbling around I knew there was something else out there. I just didn't know how to access it.
Right.
So I was like in a dark room looking for something, but I didn't know what it was. And so I started taking those first classes in New York Sports Club, and I started practicing. And it was a general evolving. And then I did my first training.
Mm.
And I remember that I took my first yoga nidra class with Yogi Charu.
Mm.
For those that don't know, yoga nidra is different than meditation. The easiest way to understand it, it's a guided meditation, um, where the body and mind go into deeper and deeper and deeper states of relaxation. And so I remember taking that first yoga nidra class, and I left and I had this like profound understanding of what true relaxation was.
Huh.
And then at that point, I was like, okay, wait, there's way more than just posture practice. There's a whole nother world of yoga for me to explore. And then at that point, then that opened up the rabbit hole.
That's similar. Once I had done yoga before, of course, your class, and I had some great yoga instructors, but nobody ever took me through a guided meditation like you did, and
Mm.
that opened up my healing journey. I mean, it blew my mind. How powerful it was, and I forever am grateful for that. Now, I know that you speak in our last yoga class, and I'm just going to go out there. You said something that I keep sitting with. You had asked if anyone in the class had a question, and of course nobody said I have a
No,
question.
we
but you,
all have questions. Every single one of them, we all have the same questions. Just so you put the spotlight on someone.
but you said, you know what, I'm going to ask you all a question, and the question you had asked us was, who are you really? And beyond me, Serina Dansker, but more than that, who was I 100 years before? Who will I be 100 years from now? And I sit with that and I think about that. And I think a lot of times, like, my short answer to that is I'm light and I'm love and I come from God and I come from the universe. But I think it's more than that. And I just, I just want to get your thoughts about that a little bit.
I think by asking questions like that, we start pulling ourselves off the material platform, right?
Mm.
So, most of the time, I meditate daily and I practice daily. A lot of the times you're on that material platform, of action and reaction. But by asking questions like that, you start to move up to that spiritual platform where, like you just said, I've been thinking about it, and all of a sudden your mindset starts to change,
Yeah.
you know?
It's amazing. And when you talk about mindsets, and it is Men's Mental Health Month, and what is it like to be a man in today's world? I know, you guys, as a woman, we're allowed to show our emotions, and there's a lot of things going on, but for men, there's a lot more struggle. I mean, men's suicide rate is a lot higher than it used to be. And I know you're not a science, for suicide or any of that stuff, but can you just talk about being a man and what it's been like today?
You know what? I think that, again, the journey of yoga
Mm.
has helped me do one major thing. And that, as far as masculinity goes, and that is enable myself to pull off that mask.
Mm.
Because I do feel, whether they know it or not, so many men wear this mask, and then it just becomes heavier and heavier and heavier for them. And that mask of, I've got to be the most powerful, I've got to be the most macho,
Mm.
and the list goes on and on and on. But realistically, behind that, there's something much better. And it's
Yeah.
just so hard for most people, and even myself a lot of times, to take that mask and pull it off.
Mm. It's yeah, it's I find that yoga allows you in a lot of ways to express emotions, or emotions come out whether you want to or not, depending on the poses you do. Have you ever noticed that happening with
I notice it happens with the poses too, because it all started there with me. And then through posture practice and opening yourself up through meditation, you're enabling yourself to be like, okay, wait a second, what I thought made me a man really doesn't make me a man at all. And so that mask comes off. But then
Wow.
behind that's another mask. And then you're like, okay, well, you keep practicing, you start having lifestyle changes. And then you're like, okay, well, that doesn't make me a man. Let me take that mask off. And by taking those masks off, right, it lightens up, at least for me, it lightens up the heart, and it allows me to live a much, much, much fuller life instead of this covered up, one direction goes type of life.
It's amazing. I totally can relate to that. I mean, I think I've heard from you, and I've heard it said that sometimes your mind can be your worst enemy, and other times, right, it could be your best friend.
Yeah, at 3 a.m. when you can't stop thinking about that meeting you have with your boss in 2 days, your mind it can be quite chaotic in there.
You know, what do you think yoga offers men who are struggling with anxiety or depression, or just the pressure to always keep it together? I know taking off the masks, but what else?
Space. I think it offers space. I
Yeah.
think it offers you a moment, whether you realize it or not. Like I said, when I first stumbled into that class in New York Sports Club, this sort of realization was miles and miles away from me. But it gives you space between your thoughts and between your emotions,
Mm.
which in today's world it's impossible to get with the cell phones and television and constant bombardment of the senses. So it gives you, because look what there's only 2 rules I give in those classes,
Yeah.
right? Nice and slow with those poses and turn your cell phone off.
Yeah.
And it gives you a moment of space between those thoughts and emotions, which it is so valuable, because it breaks that cycle of anxiety. It breaks that cycle of who we think we really are.
It's yeah, I find it's just a moment where you can actually just not think.
Yeah,
It's
and clear the thoughts out.
yeah, the mind just keeps twirling and twirling and twirling. It's like for a moment, just focusing on that breath work really does help. Or that's what I'm learning. And for guys who think yoga is just stretching, how do you reframe it as something deeper, something that can calm the storm inside?
Again, I'm pushing yoga 24/7.
Yeah.
But for me, the main things for the practice are the beginning and the end. Right.
Mm.
So that meditation in the beginning we do, and the breath work we do, shavasana at the end, where you clear the mind out. Those are the most important things. If a guy tries yoga and he doesn't like it, I would still push him to do some sort of physical fitness, because within physical fitness, you're still going to get a lot of the same results you do in yoga. But that's it, right? So if you're like, okay, well, I'm into weights, that's great. There's been studies that have been done recently, and I tell this to a lot of guys, that I forget the exact number, but it's huge. It's like stretching alone reduces the mortality rate by like 20%.
Wow.
Weightlifting, and I think it's even higher, but in case someone listens to this and is like, Mike's totally wrong, it's up there. Weightlifting was at like 15%
Wow.
in reduction. So, and then I forget, and you would think like cardiovascular is up there, but it's actually stretching is healthier. The yoga, stretching alone, not even bringing in yoga, is healthier, easier for the body, even more than running and cardiovascular work studies have shown, because you're not just stretching muscles.
Mm.
You're opening up veins. You're opening up arteries. You're opening up the nervous system. You're reducing the cortisol and the harmful stress hormones that cause hypertension. So again, you like fitness. I mean, I'm a big fitness person. Find a workout that works for you, combine it with meditation, but realize that yoga has some incredibly, incredibly powerful effects on, and it's great for weightlifters to combine that with their weight routine, because then you're going to get that weight routine or kettlebell routine. You're going to get that. You're also going to get that stretching and that opening.
And as I get older, I realize that stretching is so important. I mean, I do play tennis, and when I just do the tennis and I don't incorporate yoga with it, I'm a mess. Like everything is so tight, and the hamstrings and everything else. I go back to yoga, and I feel so much better.
And
It's
what about the vascular system that we're not even aware of, right? So then
yeah.
we're thinking about what's even deeper within there. You know, what else are we opening up with those poses? Remember, we're also like this enclosed bottle of water, right? And so when you want to, I always think about this, when we want to clean that bottle, right? That's our, our canteen, you move it back and forth and it moves those fluids around and cleans the water bottle. The body's the same way. You're folding forward, you're coming back up. Everything is moving around. We're kind of getting this internal cleanse, and that's beyond just the stretching of the muscles.
That's amazing. And have you ever, you've been teaching forever. Have you ever seen like one of your students where you've actually seen the transition from week to week for their healing, or just their.
It's for me too, because I've gone through that. It's as long as you stay with the practice, and you might start off really slow and you can only do a few poses, and you feel overwhelmed in the beginning. That all changes with time. It's just a practice, right? You'll get stronger, you learn the poses, you learn the sequencing. And by doing that and spending, dedicating like twice a week or 3 days a week to a yoga practice, you're going to start to get more and more space made in your life. You're going to start to realize that life is up and downs. That there's no steady line in life. No one I know, I guarantee you, if Jeff Bezos was on this program with us, outwardly, he would project this image of no problems at all. Behind the scenes, he has the same exact problems as every man. And I've seen that people come into that practice, no matter what the issue is, and over time, I've seen that transformation where they're able to become stronger, not only physically, stronger mentally. And it's great. Sometimes it takes someone 3 months, sometimes it takes someone 10 years, but they do go through that change eventually of healing.
It must be just so fulfilling to see your students do that, as well as yourself, the growth.
It is overwhelming. So a lot of the times, what I tell students too is it's not really me. All I'm doing is, and this is the truth of the truths, I'm just lighting a candle. And that enables you to see a path, right? That's all I do. I light a candle, you see the path. I don't do the work for you, right? A student has to do the work themselves and keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. But through that, right, they start moving. And just like we were saying just before, by asking that question of who am I really, and sitting with that all week, that one thing can take just someone that's having a crappy week and move them up a little. And just one level up is amazing. Then you come back the next week and you get a couple different poses down. Then you come back the next week, and then that transformation really starts to happen.
It's amazing, and I feel it, and I do miss it when I can't do it or I can't get there. It's I believe that it helps me calm my mind and make my mind a better friend to me, or me a better friend to my mind. I don't know which way to say it.
To understand the nature of our mind,
Yeah.
that there is no straight line in this life. Like I said, Jeff Bezos is on this program.
Yeah.
Outwardly, he's showing one thing. I know for 100% fact, he still has mentally up and downs.
Yeah.
And yoga gives us the ability to notice that those up and downs are a perfectly natural format in life, and allows us to move through them steadier.
Yeah, it's amazing. You talk a lot about breath work, and I remember, there'll be classes. Mostly, you start off each class where we do breath work, where we're cleansing our insides, our livers, our spleens, our organs. Talk a little bit about the breath work and how that works, how you kind of clean the body or calm the body from the inside out as well.
So there's going to be pranayama, or breathing techniques, or what the yogis use for different effects, right? So I'm going to be able to stir the energy up to get people more energetic and get people ready for posture practice, right? By stimulating the organs, aerating the lungs. But in the same sense, I could start off, I wouldn't do that in the morning classes, but I could start off a morning class with a much, much calmer breathing technique that's going to trigger our parasympathetic nervous system and start to set in that calming set to the mind. So it just depends on it's time, place, and circumstance for different breathing techniques. That's really what I use is I see who's in the room and what needs to be done, whether they need a more energetic breathing technique. Me personally, when I practice at home on my own, I'm usually doing, I usually have a set practice. I do like Kapalabhati, I do Kumbhak, breath retention, just to get my body energized. Lately I've been doing opposite nostril breathing, and then I'll come up, like I said, like we do. Then I'll do the stomach cleanses, the Uddiyana Bandha, to start purifying the organs, and that really does prepare me for a practice. That's just me personally, what I do at home.
And how does the breath work? What goes on in the body when you slow your breath down and when you do those things?
Chemically, cortisol levels are dropping. The stress hormones are dropping. That's a known fact, right? So we're dropping those levels of the stress hormones that wreak havoc on our body.
Yeah, that's for sure. Um, could you lead us through a simple breath practice? Maybe, so our listeners could do with us right now, you
Yes.
know?
So what I'll do is I'll show you a quick breath practice that I use pretty much every class I teach. I do this during Shavasana. What's nice about what I'll show is not only can you use this as kind of the jump off point for a meditation anywhere, anytime, I also use this for when I have trouble sleeping at night. Right. So
Mm,
there's not one of us out there that doesn't have a problem sleeping once in a while. So what we'll do here is we'll do 15 to 1. So we'll set ourselves in for just a second, and then we're just going to do something really simple, and I'll lead you through it. We're going to count backwards from 15 to 1.
okay.
When I have trouble sleeping at night, I count backwards 54 to 1. And
Why is it more?
it's because it's the highest Vedic number. So in Vedic numerology, so what happens with numbers a lot of times, we add them up. So 5 and 4 is 9, and
Right.
9 is the highest number in Vedic numerology. So I start with the number 9 with that. 108, you might see that a lot of times in the yoga world. 108 is just there's different lineages will say different things about this. The way I was trained is that 108 is the highest number in Vedic numerology because it's 8 and 1 adds up to 9. So
Huh.
9 is the highest number out there, right? You can't get higher than 9. You can do all these other number combinations, but eventually all those numbers, if you shrink them down, are 9. Just to
Yes.
give you a quick
Wow.
little
Learning something. This is great.
Vedic numerology. So what we'll do is we'll do 15 to 1. But so what I do when I'm sleeping or having trouble sleeping is I do 54 to 1, right? So I go, and you'll see this in just a second. I go 54 abdomen up, 54 abdomen down, 53 abdomen up, 53 abdomen down. And usually what happens is I get to, I don't know, 36 and I lose count. I start over again, get to 32, lose count, and then a lot of the times I just conk out and go back to sleep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So let's just try 15 to 1.
okay.
Okay. So all we're going to do, no matter where you are, where you're listening, you're going to come into a comfortable seat, whatever that means for you. The main thing for me is just the back is nice and straight. Place the hands on the lap or the knees, chin parallel with floor, and then just close your eyes. I don't want you to change anything. All I want you to do is move your awareness to the entrance at the nose, the nostrils, and become a passive observer to in-breath through the nose, out-breath through the nose. bring your awareness back to the nose. Take a nice deep breath in. Have a nice slow breath out. Gently, gently flutter the eyes open. We should have started off that way.
Yeah. That's
There's,
so good.
and it's simple, right? If we keep meditation really simple, we're going to be able to attract more people to it, and it's something that can be done anywhere. You're in DMV, like I always tell students, and the line's a million miles long. You can sit there and do that. Your plane's been delayed. You can sit there and do that. You're having trouble falling asleep at night. You just increase the number. Again, I use 54. You could really use any number, and you just keep going up, just not affecting the breath. You just watch that abdomen go backwards, go backwards, go backwards.
It's amazing just doing that. And if you guys at home have done that with us, the feeling within your body, it's so different. I mean, I get a lot of nerves when I do this show, and everything just lets down. It's amazing.
My guru used to tell us that if you can concentrate on one thing for 10 seconds, you've mastered the initial stages of meditation. Right? So if you're counting backwards 15 to 1 and you can complete it without having to restart, you're doing great with meditation. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to try that the next time I can't sleep at night. I'll tell you. It sounds really good.
Works like a charm. I've given that recipe out to so many people over the years, 54 to 1 backwards. And usually they come to me the next day and they're like, it works. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, your mind starts going, in the middle of the night. So this way you just take it down. It's friggin' awesome. So great.
The Vedic philosophers, the yogis, they figured something out, right? About the human condition, about the mind. And even though our technology has improved over the past, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, the human condition has not changed. Right? And we still have the same emotions. We still have the same desires, the same needs, the same wants. And so the yogis figured a way out to settle the mind, to give us space, and to take us off that material platform, at least for a moment.
Yeah, it's needed. I mean, you just need to just give yourself a break, give your mind a break, I think it's awesome. I guess, we do the breath work, but are there some gentle poses you recommend for, and what about men who carry a lot of tension throughout their body, their shoulders, their back, their jaws? You hear a lot of time people get locked jaw because they're always, just so intense.
For postures, for just like right now, I would suggest that anyone that's listening to this and is like, my God, I should start a yoga practice. You're going to have to do some leg work on your own, right? That's where what's amazing about yoga and different than so many different exercise modalities is it's a journey of a lifetime, right? I've been practicing for 20 years now. I still feel like I'm just at the entrance of that door. So I would suggest if someone's like, I'm listening to this, I really want to try some yoga out or postures for my back, or I have some tension somewhere in my body, you got to shop around and find a good yoga studio. And remember what I said in the beginning, I took the ladies yoga class twice. It was absolutely wonderful, really great introduction to yoga. I tried another lady that it wasn't I didn't gel with her. I didn't vibe with her. I can tell you right now, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm going to go find a yoga studio, don't discount the physical yoga practice or the meditation practice, because that first studio you walk into, you don't gel with. Because I could walk into 100 different yoga studios and there might be only 10 I really like. But you could walk in to those other 90 studios I didn't like, and for some reason Serina gels with like another 20 of those that it just wasn't my thing. So it's a very subjective, personal thing. So if you're feeling tension in the body, if you're feeling like if poses might be something that you want, go really find a qualified teacher and you'll be set. Start slow. Don't take if you're brand new to yoga, do not go take the most advanced. Don't think I can do a level 3 class. Don't do that to yourself. Even me, when I take level 3 classes, I'm like, do I really want to do this level 2, 3 class? It's intense. Beginner classes, fantastic. I still take once in a while beginner classes because a good beginner yoga teacher is absolutely amazing. So find a great studio. They'll lead you through, try basic or beginner classes if you're new to this, and you'll get all the posture you want. It's too hard for me to go through posture. It's so subjective.
Yeah. What do you think about transcendental yoga? Any thoughts on that?
When I hear transcendental yoga, I don't know. I've had transcendental experiences in my yoga practice. If you practice long enough, you're gonna have transcendental experiences in your yoga practice. I know there's transcendental meditation out there too, TM. I know a lot of people that have had a really strong, long practice with TM. So if it's something you're into, you can go explore TM or transcendental meditation. But my biggest turnoff with TM is you have to pay for it. You have to pay for anything, but they require, I forget this is going back a million years. I was like 15 or 16, and there was a transcendental meditation studio in Katona, New York. And I was like, again, this is my stumbling around in the dark, like I said. I knew there was something out there, but I didn't know what it was. And I was in high school, and I was like, transcendental meditation. I was like, that sounds really cool. And so I remember I called, I got the number in the yellow pages, and called the number for the place. And I was like, hey, so what's the deal? They're like, well, you can come down here anytime you want. And I was like, great. And then they were like, but it's you have to buy, it's lifetime. So I guess, now looking back at 15, it seemed like an insurmountable sum. It was like $1,500 or something and I think if someone's listening, they might be a TM person, it's a $1,500 lifetime membership or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was expensive. And for me, with that one practice at TM, I feel like you can find meditation for much cheaper and very qualified.
For our listeners that don't know what TM is, can you explain it? What it is?
Meditation. I've never done a TM yoga meditation practice, but it's basically what we did with a mantra, from what I understand.
Okay.
So again, transcendental. What does transcendental mean? We're coming off that material platform again.
Got it.
Right? So where we're coming up to a place where we're going to have a much different experience. So through meditation alone, all meditation becomes transcendental.
Okay.
Right. So if I were to do that same again, I've never done a TM practice, but from what I understand is we would sit there with our breath, and then we get a mantra, and we repeat that mantra over and 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 over. Okay. Now, do I need to pay $1,500 for a mantra? I don't know. I can tell you right now, I still use just the plain Om mantra.
Yeah.
Good. It's great. I can just Om till the sun comes down. And anyone listening, the Om mantra is powerful, and you just got a free mantra. You can chant Om all day long. And the way I do it, just to give a quick example, a lot of the times after I do 15 to 1, that countdown backwards, and you've been in classes where I do this, I break the Om mantra. So japa is repetition of a mantra. A japa is the constant repetition of a mantra. So what I do is I inhale one part of the mantra like we do, and I exhale the other part. So I do this silently, mentally. I'll inhale, oh, and when I exhale mentally, I just repeat, mm. And so then you combine that with 15 to 1 backwards. You have a mantra you could use now mentally, and all of a sudden you're gonna reach that transcendental place where you lift off this material platform.
It's so enlightening. It just really is. I love it. I really do. I think that's just, it's amazing. And
Not to knock TM people. If you're a TM person out there, keep doing it. I'm not
that's it.
knocking it.
Different strokes for different folks, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, exactly. It's just that when I was a kid, I remember I was like, whatever the price was, I don't remember it, but I was just like shocked. I can't.
What?
I was like, well, I can't, and I was like, I can't believe you want money from it. Even back then, I was like, I couldn't believe you wanted that much money.
That's
At
interesting. But
delayed
if,
at 15,
at 15, you would have gotten your money's worth though, no.
I would have, but at 15 or 16, that delayed my meditation practice for 15 years. So I got to it eventually. It just took me a little while longer.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. So, do you have a personal ritual that at the end of the day that helps you unwind and care for your well-being?
Yeah, I'm pretty strict with my daily regimen. So I think that's part of it too, right? It's not just the physical practice that's going to start changing things mentally. It's the food we eat, right? That's an important factor. It's the association, it's sleep patterns, it's what we're listening to, what we're seeing, what we're tasting. All these things add up to my daily ritual. And I'm not super. I'm a little rigid with certain things. So in the mornings, I get up pretty early most days. Honestly, there's 1 or 2 days I won't wake up at 5 just because my wife works really hard as a NP at a hospital, and I'm not going to wake her up at 5 in the morning for my meditation. But most days, I get up about 5, and I I have a strict process. I do dream journaling first thing in the morning.
Mm.
I do. That's 7 days a week. I don't wake up early those 2 other days. I do dream journaling and I do my Vedic astrology every day. So that happens first thing out of bed. Right after that, before I have any tea or coffee, I do my japa, my mantra meditation. I sit down, I have a certain mantra I chant with, I know they're in the other room, but I have mala beads. I use a set of mala, which is 108 rounds. So I do my mantra 108 times. I do a few prayers, and that's the morning practice. Then usually after that, and that takes all in all about 20 minutes, I get up, breakfast, do my day. I usually come back to more mantra meditation later in the day. And then I'm pretty strict with bedtime. I'm a 9 o'clock, 9:30 bedtime guy. There's a reason behind that in the yoga world. It's said, again, it's not every day because, once in a while I go out to a concert or something. But we shoot to get 2 hours before midnight of healing moon energy. So if I get to bed before 10, before that moon reaches its apex, I'm getting 2 hours of that healing energy from the moon while I sleep.
Wow.
But before bed, I do have a bedtime ritual. I make sure what I'm reading before bed when I get into bed is a philosophical spiritual book.
Mm.
So, I watch sports on TV. I watch the Mets at night. And, so I'm not just like watching, spiritual things 24/7, but before bed when I get in, right now I'm reading Nectar of Devotion by Srila Prabhupada. So I'm reading some spiritual book in that realm because, again, the yogis, before I fall asleep, I want to make sure my dreams are going into that, as much as I can influence it as possible, that my dreams are going into that spiritual realm.
Wow.
If I'm reading Stephen King right before bed, I guarantee my dreams are going to be much more agitated than if I'm reading, Be Here Now by Ram Dass or something.
Right. That's true. That's true. That's awesome. Then, so talk to me a little bit about that moon, how that affects you. 2 hours going to bed 2 hours before the moon's at its apex. What does the moon energy do for you? Can you explain
Well,
that?
the moon, the lunar energy, it's waxing and waning, and just the way that I was trained was that the moon has a very, very positive healing of calming effect on us. So that's why I do that before bed.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Something for people to try, something for people to keep in their minds, you know.
It's, it's funny because I talk to you and I listen to you, and I absorb it, and then I sit with it, and it's, and in the weirdest times it just comes back, and I listen to what you say, and it's really nurturing for my soul. It really is.
Well, everybody too, right? If we're going to try to help people on this path and be like, all right, let's try to for people to get space, right? From this material world that is non-stop. By moving yourself through a day like that and being like, okay, well, and the whole moon thing gets really intense because with dream yoga, which is the reason I dream journal, you could start noticing, because the moon waxes and wanes, like I was saying, and you could start to notice how it affects your mental state as the moon waxes and wanes. It takes a little while for you to see that, but if you dream journal long enough and you watch the moon phases, you're going to notice your mindset during the waxing and waning and full moon.
So you journal when you're dreaming, in the morning.
Yeah. Have you tried that at all, dream journaling?
I did for like a very short period of time, but I got, it fell away. So can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, there is going to be a time where I offer that as an online course.
Oh, cool.
Because it's a practice that I do constantly. It's an easy practice for everyone to do. And not only do you start understanding, you start understanding your dreams more, and you can start to see, symbols in your dreams and where the universe might want to take you in life. It also brings more awareness to your day. So if I'm practicing dream yoga and I have a parrot in my dream for whatever reason, and then I see a man walking down the street with a parrot, all of a sudden there's these two worlds that kind of collide together. And it just brings more. So you start living a more aware, more in the moment life with dream yoga. It's pretty simple. The way I was taught to do this years and years ago, before I got really serious about it, was just start dream journaling. Have the journal by the bed. It's hard. So many people, I tell this, and like so many people are like, I don't dream. You do, I promise you. It's just that it's just like working out. You've got to get that muscle stronger, and you've got to get that memory stronger for remembering dreams. You definitely dream, guarantee it. So you have that dream journal right next to the bed, and just write that's how I start. You just write the dream down as much as you remember when you wake up. And then you start, and if you get into it, there's different things. But like I said, I will offer a dream journaling course and a dream yoga course sooner than later.
Yeah, you should. I took a course on narrative healing, which was phenomenal. It helped me like write letters to my son who passed, and by writing those letters, it was so healing to me. And I can see how dream journaling would be that too. I mean, I do remember a lot of my dreams, but life gets so busy with everything else. I usually put that on the back burner. But if you do a course, I'm signing up for that.
Yeah, it's good. It's really, it becomes incredibly intense. It's not as simplistic of a practice as that. A lot of people dream journaling, oh, it's good. But, everyone that's listening at one point had one lucid dream, right? Where you realize you're dreaming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When you wake up, when you know you're in a dream. We've all had dreams at one point that are influential in our life, right? And there's just ways to really deepen that practice that are really, 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 really phenomenal and easily accessible to so many people.
That's really, yeah. I've had dreams where like I feel like I think I'm awake, but I'm obviously still sleeping, and I'm frozen. I can't move, and it's like it's so frightening. I'm like, I need to move, and then I force myself to wake up and to move again. But that's, I don't know.
Now, if you were in that dream and all of a sudden you realized you were frozen,
yeah,
and you're like, wait, I'm in a dream, I'm frozen. Let me just unfreeze myself.
It's more like in my mind, stop.
Yeah. So you can all of a sudden see how if you start bringing dream yoga into things, how not only it's going to change your sleeping time and when you're dreaming, it's going to change your awake time too.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm a firm believer in that, and writing it down is, it's funny how when you take from what's here and you put it down on the paper, the healing power it has. It really
It
does.
has a huge amount. I like intuitive writing too. It's really, really powerful. I've only done it once or twice, but it's really very, very, very profound stuff.
It's amazing. I have a listener who's here who said they've never done yoga, and they feel like they'd stand out, and a little bit self conscious about it. What would you say to someone like them?
Don't worry, everyone's looking at their phone. Yeah, no one's paying attention. Trust me. There's no reason to. And again, that comes back to finding a place you gel with, right?
Mm,
Because again, there's so many. I've tried so many yoga studios and so many. I don't even know countless yoga teachers, and it's very subjective, But if you find a place, a community that you feel comfortable, the amount of growth spiritually and mentally that can happen, it's infinite.
yeah, yeah, I believe it. I do.
Don't worry, no one's looking. They're not. There's so many people are just worried about themselves and no
So
reason.
it's so true. It's so true. I have another one here that says, "Can breath really help during a panic attack?"
110%. So I'm someone that has anxiety, not so much as I did before I started meditation practice or breath practice. But if you're having a panic attack and you do that 15 to 1 countdown,
Yeah.
how can that not help?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
increase it. So you could do 15 to 1, maybe you do 27 to 1, 30. You can choose your own number, but you do that counting backwards and watching the breath in and out. There is no way that's not going to help. I
Mm,
get, and again, if you start taking different courses from different teachers, you'll learn all these different pranayama and breathing techniques. And I 100%. You
mm.
might not like the posture practice, but if you find a good meditation teacher and breathwork teacher, you're going to find a way to calm down and stop that anxiety, because it did for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I believe that 100%. Mike, if you could leave one message for the man who's barely holding it together, what would it be?
Hmm. You know, it's tough. It's a hard world out there. It
Yeah.
really, really is. There's a lot of weight on men and women out there. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves. If you're at that point where your stress levels are at 10, your anxiety levels at 10, I would start with there's it's hard to say one thing. I believe it's multifaceted for me.
Mm,
So it's finding a good association. Yogis believe is one of the most important things, who you're hanging out with. And
mm,
if you find a good community that you don't have to say a thing and you can just listen, and it starts changing your mindset, that
mm.
is a powerful first step, right? Just positive association and people that will allow you just to. It's a great thing where they're not putting any pressure on you,
Yeah.
and they're just like, come hang out and listen. And if
Yeah.
you're in a positive community, in a positive place, you're gonna have that change. I think service is a great thing.
Mm,
I think that if you find that positive community, there's going to be a way to serve those people. And
yeah.
that also is going to help reduce those number 10 levels that sometimes we all feel.
What a
Uh,
goodness.
I do think it goes on. I'm sure you know it. Food, what you listen. Like I said, it's important. What I listen to as far as music, it's very, very important. I'm not again. I like all. You know me. You've been to some of my classes the VIN classes where I use music. But I like all genres. But I'm still very careful about what I'm putting in my ears for music. I'm very careful about what I'm putting in my eyes to watch for TV. I'm very careful about what I'm putting in my mouth for food, right? Because I know all these things, whether you might not realize it, add up to that whole like pressure cooker of when you're just about to explode. And
Yeah.
All you have to do is change one of them.
Mm.
All right, I'm going to try to have a plant-based diet once a week.
Yeah.
Right. That one, if you're like, all right, I live out in the middle of Maine. There's no one else around me but the deer and the eagles. So I don't have a place to go, but I could change the way I eat on Mondays.
Yeah.
I could have a plant-based diet, I can change that I'm listening to heavy metal
Right.
24/7 or watching Stephen King movies every day. If you're a Stephen King fan, I'm not knocking you either. I do watch those things too once in a while.
My God.
It's that constant bombardment of that stuff that our senses, that's one of the most important lessons that yoga has taught me about drawing my senses inward so I'm in control.
Yes. That's such a great lesson. I'm learning that myself that, I can't control other people, but I can only control my reaction.
Absolutely.
And that's been a huge lesson that I learned over, I'm 57 now. So, I mean, it's really, it's taken a while, but I've learned it, and I try and live by that, and trying to teach my 21-year-old kids that, it's a great life lesson, I'll tell you.
It
So,
takes a while to sink in, trust me.
yeah,
30-year-old Mike, is much different than 50-year-old Mike. So, you learn these things. That's the value. We were talking about that too out on the porch just a moment ago, my wife and I, that, because, we're all getting older here.
yeah.
And we were talking about, age and the wisdom that comes along with age. And we both said, even if a genie came to us right now and said, I'll give you both turn you back to 18, but you forget all the wisdom you have now. You have to start it all over again. There's just no way.
No, I wouldn't do it either.
Yeah, no. If I lose the wisdom I have now, because it takes that to know that it's you. And,
Yeah.
you have the choice to react or not to react.
And that's a lesson. I mean, it's a journey, and
Yeah.
and it takes some of us longer than others to learn that.
Some people learn it really young. Some people are really blessed and they have that spiritual realization really young. And other people, we got to go through things to get there.
It's true. It's true. So I have a few lighter questions to ask you. I call it the lightning round questions. What's one mantra that drags you out of bed?
Mm. All right. So again, I didn't want to get too far into my daily practice, but so when I step out of bed in the morning, I'm very specific with the foot I step out of bed.
Okay.
And then there's this whole system, trust me, I can't go into it here, but I chant Sumadra Vasane Devi Parvatastana Mandale Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam Padasparsham Shamasvame. The translation of that is, O Goddess Earth, who has the mountains as her bosom, the oceans as her garments, Sri Vishnu as her eternal consort, please forgive me for placing my feet upon you today. So I start each day with that mantra, with asking for gratitude, with gratitude for Goddess Earth.
Yeah, that's beautiful. How about a song that puts your heart back into your chest?
It changes from day to day for me for music. A solid one that I really like. I'll say a go-to is Franklin's Tower by the Grateful Dead.
Okay, all right.
I'll just go with that. That's a good go-to song.
All right. How about a book that you keep on gifting, that you gift whenever you can?
Really easy. I really recommend this book. I love this book. I love A Journey Home by Randhanath Swami. Absolutely phenomenal book on someone's personal journey of transformation. He starts out in the 60s, travels across.
Writing it down.
It's a crazy story, really great book on someone finding their spiritual path. So A Journey Home, Randhanath Swami.
All right, I got them right. That's gonna be my next book. Okay, healing in one word.
Om.
Home. Love it. I love it. So usually I close out with a poem from that my son used to write poems all the time. And he encapsulated being a 15-year-old, 16-year-old teenager in his poetry. But before I do that, I want you to please tell our listeners how to reach you and take one of your amazing classes.
So you can take my class at Chelsea Piers, Connecticut, if you live in this area in person. Every Thursday at 9 a.m., I offer an online class that I send a link out for once a week. I do corporate sessions and private sessions in person and online. If you live in Connecticut, if you live close by, I can do in person. But the best way to contact me is Mike Cawley yoga@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
You're
That's
welcome.
awesome. So, okay. So the poem that my son wrote, and I got to put my glasses on for this. Sorry. It's called, I Don't Know. I don't know what to do. My emotions are construed. I can't tell if people want to be around me or just want me to buy them food. I know I'm fun and I think I'm great, but over time, am I too much to take? People have drifted from me and act like I don't see it, but I do. So why can't they just be rude, speak their mind instead of playing with mine? I'm tired of trying to figure things out when really all the gossip means nothing. I love people and I want to be so nice, but some people hand me the knife. Why's everybody got to be so confusing, especially those who be using? I just want you to know, by constantly refusing, changing your mind like it goes with the tide, by not communicating with words, but attempting to let your actions be the guide. That's what makes my brain fried. I'm tired of trying when people just be flat out lying to my face, make me feel like a disgrace. Just stop being so fake. Take control of your life. Know what you want, but don't take too long, because the train waits for nobody, not even someone in your mental state. My son was 15 when he wrote this.
Very nice.
Life is crazy, but I can't thank you enough, Mike, for sharing your light, sharing your wisdom, and all the great lessons that you gave us to the show today. And before we go, I'd like just everybody to take a breath in, like we began, and exhale. And I hope to our listeners that if you like the show, please rate it. If you want to reach out, you can reach me on the sosradio.live website, SOS Stories of Survivors. Donations are always welcome. And tune in next week, Sunday at 1:30 p.m. for a next amazing show. And remember, SOS Stories of Survivors, where survival sparks the show. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Serina. That was a lot of fun.